be some of the Chinese same time you didn't know the one and look on the first our chair. The kind of a Jewish in share to the young mother. Choosing it and that solo was the Zoluda and Mancho in the mountains of Barawich, Dorje was the deep culture miner. Tashi Yamji when a low jandy and the Geshe unit that Tashi Lodge and Tashi Yam Jeff in the Dadashi Yambadan, Dadashi Yambasam, and Sofuji, Dewadi Park. Karadice dan dumel su lemba inda Tashi Yamje Sungesarva Yamje.
Yamji Nyam Tashi
Nyambache. And that drawing by Yamba, Mazotai Maje, Penishuba. Dashi Yamshi, you want to look Jana, you demand you want to look Jamba coach will finish door. So, the kind of Maje, Semetanium de Magoma, Dashi you go look China for a Muesama. Semetanium de Daniel Pamos Yamba Samotamora Marella. Daniel Pamos the Yamba Samlo Matana, Dashing Yame for a Mara. Dashing Yamela, Shendela, Dry Yuri, Pamasum Pedigua. And when you tell it, I'm Tata Kalorda Lomacona, Dashiniam Tata Lim to us in more. What is the Dashiniam just in the Dean Sarah? This animal and as a Penjulamanchi and the other Rani Chizing go, Quinji go, Manam Chizi, the Quinji. Teacher Dashi Jivin, Natural and Yamini Bushava Chingilo Swing. Ran Chizing you look the Pator Shinchavan. Major than the camera and ranch was the middle of part to the Shenchevati. Around the boat was the middle of the part and the abandon of some of the Tamarina, then the pension with the song what in Marilla or the nature.
So we briefly, very quickly, went over the 7 cause and effect of a mind training. Because a lot of you already studied on it, so I decided to have a very quick overview of the subject. And because we have a very limited time, as I was carried away by my discussion and I spent the entire hour on explaining a couple of lines, and so I feel I have to maybe move a little bit faster. So we will stop on the 7 cause and effect mind training. The next one is I would like to briefly discuss about the exchange of oneself for others. And then my friend reminded me that in the tradition it also involved the equanimity. And so the equanimity and exchange of oneself with others is the next subject that we're going to talk. And in the second kind of the type of the mind training, there are 2 things that practicing spontaneously. First of all, you really have to generate equanimity between yourself and others, and this is the basis of these practices. We talked about the importance of the equanimity in the training of the 7 cause and effect mind training, because without that basis you really cannot even really understand other people's suffering, not mention exchanging with your happiness. And so really creating this equanimity is really the basis for both the types of the mind training. And in this context too, the generating equanimity is very important. This is because you really, first of all, you're creating this equanimity between yourself and others, so that you're kind of in the same basis. And then what are you exchanging? You're exchanging your happiness with the sufferings of the others. And in the Penjin, the 4th Penjin Rinpoche, Lobsang Chögyal's the Guru Yoga, the Lama Chöpa, the Guru Puja, in the Lamrim section, he had these beautiful stanzas. He said that all the fault of our life came from this thinking of happiness for ourselves. The self-charity thought is the root of all the problem. And then all the wonderful qualities is coming from the cherishing others' well-being. And so when you exchange that, you're really doing yourself a favor too. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, what do you exchange? Basically, you're exchanging all your kind of happiness, giving away, and then taking the sufferings of others to yourself. And so by doing that, what you're doing is you're replacing your self-cherishing thought with the thought of the cherishing others. And so at a deeper level, you're really kind of changing the self-cherishing thought with the thought of the cherishing others. But how you do that is really kind of exchanging the sufferings of others with your happiness and so on. And His Holiness also mentioned that there are a number of exchanging you can do. One is the exchanging this self-cherishing with the cherishing others. Another exchanging is exchanging the belief in intrinsic existence with the belief in the absence of the intrinsic existence. You can also change that too.
So
that's you also have to do that meditation too later. And so this is very profound teaching, and because of that, we consider when you are trained in the equanimity and exchange of oneself with others, you also receive the training on all components of the seven cause and affect mind training. And so this is a very profound practice.
Then who need to practice is exchange for other. Who need to practice exchange to other, then have to explain. Actual practice exchange because exchange
oneself and other.
Oneself exchange oneself other. But I don't like is 7 step wrong. But I like the 7 step line. Yes, it's exchange for one other, but so difficult for me. Very sharp. Call it that.
Love to be
Oh, he is. Oh, did this. That he is a Tashi member, so you do and she pushes the Lola, after the match of a Tashi Yame for you, my lesson. And it's also the Dumor Medogan as a parallel of Dumor Medoga, the Soso Gita, Joman Beloji Makena, Tashi Yame for you.
So when we talk about generating equanimity with ourselves, with others, there are two really fundamental understanding you have to have. Without that, you cannot really exchange oneself with others. Because first of all, you really have to generate the equanimity. And the equanimity, how really do you generate the equanimity? First of all, you have to have the basic understanding that we or I desire for happiness. Likewise, all sentient beings also desire for happiness. From that point of view, we're equal. And you really have to have that understanding profoundly in your mind stream. The second component is that I do not desire for suffering. Likewise, all other sentient beings do not also desire for suffering. And that understanding has to be there. And this will be the basis of really creating this the equanimity. So we move to the 8
verses. Taji Chanjugi Sem Kesu the Chanjugi Sem Kebisu Sawaja, that subject you Chanjugi Sem Ken and Chovala looks inside. Subject you the Papi and Chanjugi Sem Ken and Chovala looks.
So because of the limited time, we will move to the 8 verses. And so here, basically in this line saying, once you generate the bodhicitta, what do you do? And then is once you generate the bodhicitta mind, then you really study and practice bodhisattva in a way. And so this is starting from the verse 8.
Tell her that as a subject you Chanjugi Sem Ken Chovala looks to the Duichola look down the and Nagishola look down is some of the
So basically, once you generate the bodhicitta mind, and then what you do, you train yourself in the deeds of bodhisattva. And so there are two trainings you have to accomplish. The first is the training in the sutra. The second is the training in tantra or the vajrayana.
다 도이처로 럽단데라 삽치기 삼로단에로 야스기 쪼바 지라 럽단데다 아니 야스기 쪼바 이 두기 나네 뭐게 파진 타만이라 럽단 베지디나 여봐요. 야스기 쪼바 지소 파진 두라 럽단데다 아니 파진 타마 삼대기 파진다 아니 샤라기 파진라 럽단이 공부하시고 그러세요.
And so in the first training, the training in the sutra for the bodhisattva, is there are two set of trainings. One is like a training in all aspects of the bodhisattva deed, which is the training in the six perfections. Another, I think, the set of the training is the training in the last two perfections, the training in concentration and the training in wisdom. Training in the wisdom section. So usually they have say the two ways of training. You train in either all six of the perfections, or you train in the last two.
This Sungo에 가르쳤으나 chanjugi sim 깨바 짬기 깨 진소 파진 졸라 말았나 상기 고바 미토바 인자다 chanjugi sim 깨네 꺄 아니 진소 파진나 로고 대 나네겠다 삼대기 파진다 샤르기 파진라 말었나 대비견다 딩이방도 말와 생겨와 샤르기 파진다 단다 삼대기 파진라 말었나 딩이지 딱 맞어 간사기 단지네 데버즈베 딘지네 좀 미토바 인자 개쳐와 단다 라면 최종 차상라 단다 삼대다 신내다 요 시고수에 내가 더 대통에 살에 생겨와
And so the training in the bodhisattva way through the six perfection is one set of training, and that all the bodhisattvas go or engage in. And then above all, the two very important training is the training in the samadhi, the meditation or the concentration, and the training in the insight, which is the wisdom. And without the training, the true last training, one cannot really overcome the obscurations, obscurations of affliction, and the obscuration to omniscience. For that, you really need to get a steady training in the samadhi and the insight. And therefore, in the Lamrim Chimo, the great treatise on the path to enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa, he really produced an extensive chapter on the training on the samadhi and the training on insight meditation, because these two the trainings are considered to be very important.
진짜 학동시에 여러분이 학동 친구들은 로가 수도 작은 남도 와서니 신나들 학동 이거다 개침보다 등이파 등이 인연보 때문에 개침 보시 보인다 학동 친구들은 수도 작은 남도 된다는 인사했습니다.
And because the training in wisdom, the training in insight is very important, so Lama Tsongkhapa really dedicated an entire chapter, not only chapter, an entire volume, if you like, on the insight meditation chapter in his great treatise, and we call this a great insight volume, the Hakdon Chimo. And he really dedicated extensive kind of discussions on the training on insight chapter, and that show how important it is.
어디? 다 진소 파진 돌아가 보였다. 진소 파진 전에다 진소 파진 아니 진바 설정 서버 전에 3대 셰라들라 다 진소 파진 초 송거와. 얘네 파진 주 장가견이에요. 파진 주 장가견이 맞서 사주여다 사례를 파진에 냠렌다 조고 보인다. 파진 주 장가견이 사주를 때는 파진 주 장가견 말에 쓰네로. 파진 투디 찌기다 내단들에 쓰네로. 다 단대시에 가서 파진 투랑 셰바래요.
So, in terms of the perfections, you find the set of perfections. most well-known perfections, the 6 perfections: generosity, then morality, then diligence, or then patience, some then the meditation and wisdom. So these are the 6 perfections are most commonly known perfections. And then sometimes you also find these 10 perfections. And this is because there are 10 bhumis, the 10 what you call grounds. Is that right? 10 grounds. And so each ground is applied with one perfection. And so sometimes you also hear all the 10 perfections. But most commonly is now the 6 perfections.
장주기 심지 탐지기 된도 저들산에 고반 토발 제일 넘버 점기 아니 라나메베 장주기 고반에 톱두고 말해 셈점기는 술집 톱두고 말해 다 술집 넘버 숨나 로아 술집 라야 술집 넘버 지단이 지마라야 넘버 숨이래 술집 넘버 숨 셰라라 넘버 숨숨이래 대 나니 그냥 술집 넘버 숨이 개청보시고 숨샤 세네로 숨고에 가르세나 원도 라나메 고모 가르 토발라 있느냐 다 술집이 소송샤에 쓰는 것도 단다 뭐예 단다 대주의 최초기에는 밀리토발라 아니 별한치 뭐 숨다고래 아니 술집이 시기가 술을 남았다고 시송고래 쓰는 송연리다 술집이 개치 보시고 인자 술집만 남아 숨 채우고 된다 인사에 쓰는 아니 발렌다와 타고에 뒤송하러 먼저 봐나라 뭔데 균이 술집 내심에 송사로 왔으니 뭔도 사람이 고방태발라 술집 야고 마서는 것도 사람이 고박하게 봐요 말이에요. 센텐자 술집 넘버 숨나 또 보래. 술집 넘버 숨나 말아봐 있나? 아니 이게 저기서는 고박 톡 말이에요. 센점기야. 술집 넘서로 공부하면은 장주 미주 벌스나 라나미리 장주 루투고 말이에요. 공부하면은 장주 미주 벌 레포트네 오 텐더웨 미주 벌다. 소소게 딱제 치네 통네 아니 레포트네 이 게세 돈바라 장주 심들 돈바라 상하지 돈바다 아니 소터기 돈바 그러와 소터 찾아 상한 돈바이 재정수지 친양 미도신 예술들다 심지어는 수준 파트로가 지유로로서 현재 최근에 송만 나시 아니 이제 돈바 넘버서 소터기 돈바 장생기 돈바 상이 돈바 숨부텔라 아니 야부질 라보레티 말았나 미주바 인자 아니 가서 공부하면은 chanjo 레포트네 게스 돈발라 아니 좀바 trouble over 칭이로 세네 수수있다 이제 뒤쪽도 될라 로딩이 세네는 숨셔라선
이제 수령만 숨디 나도 숨디
수령나도 되다 이런 예셔든데 술팀 아니 겨워치도 술팀 센지든지 술팀 숨들었다 수령나가 숨통거리에 세네
And so, when we engage in the training of
air versus
and we are now going over the eighth verse. So, when we engage in the training of Bodhisattvas, the perfections, or the training of the great perfections, and all of these trainings are really important. And especially in this London text, Lama Tsongkhapa kind of pinpointed on the moralities, because he sees the training in the morality is the ground for all other trainings. Without having a steady training in the moralities, you cannot really practice the other training. So he highlighted this training here, and he says the training in three morality is very important. Just having this wishful thinking of enlightenment or sentient beings wouldn't do. You really have to engage in the actual training of the perfections. And when you engage in training of the perfections, the training in the morality is really important. And so the training in the three morality training is very important. What are the three morality? And the first training of the morality is really to purify your negative deeds, the purifying your negative deeds, and refraining yourself from the falling into the negative deed is very important. And then the second of the three morality training is accumulating this virtuous deed. Engaging in wholesome action is very important. So by engaging constantly in the deeds that creates merit and so on, is very important. The third, the training of the morality, is the engaging in the subjective, engaging in to benefiting other sentient beings. Engaging in the act of benefiting to other beings is a very important part of the training in moralities. And having really good understanding about these three morality training is a basis for the training of other professions. And so that's where the Lama Tsongkhapa highlighted on this. And also a lot of you know the Guru Puja by the Penjin Losang Chökyi. And in the Guru Puja, he also had this verse on the morality training. And basically he's saying that the training in morality is the basis of all the wonderful qualities. And therefore, what we really, when we think about the training in moralities, we are really making a pledge that we observe the pledges that we made. For example, three vows, the moksha vows, and then the Bodhisattva vows, and the Vajrayana vows. And so we remind ourselves that we took the pledge to observe the vow, and we continue to do so. And this is the actual training in morality. So observing the vows, the pledge, and so on is really important. I forgot mentioning earlier, Geshe quoted the Chandrakirti in his entrance to the middle way. Chandrakirti also said the basis of all the knowledge and higher realization is determined by the level of the pledge and the observation that you do for the moralities. And also the Vasubandhu also mentioned in his text that observing the vows and the morality and so on is the key for key to attaining birth in higher ranks. If we wanted to attain, the humans in higher ranks, one of the most important ingredients is the observing the moralities. And when we fail to observe our moralities or the pledge and so on, then we really get into all kind of trouble. And so usually we take a vow like the Paramoksha vow or the individual vows, and then we take a Bodhisattva vow and we take the Vajrayana vows. And once we really took these vows, it's really important that we observe the vow and we really keep our pledge. The Samaya, Damzik also. And so a lot of people wondered why Tantric is so secretive. where they have so much kind of secrecy around the practice of tantra, and very simple, because when you engage in the tantric practices, you really have to make a pledge that you would observe certain vows and commitment. And when we fail to observe this commitment, and then sometimes it causes more harm than actually gaining the benefit of the tantra. And so when the gurus and teachers realize that the students are not a suitable vessel or the candidate for tantra practices, because the gurus know that he or she may not be able to keep the commitment, and so that's where they really kind of take time for the student to study first and train the training in the preliminary and the common practices. Because you enter into tantra practices, you take vows, and when you fail to observe the vow, it brings you more trouble than what you already brings you more trouble than you were. And that's where the tantra is a secret. That's where there's so many restrictions for tantra practices, and it's going back to the practicing the morality.
강 동바 내셔주겠다 숨자님이 딱딱 수에 계신 것이 그래요. 아니 대인도 수속이다. 예종 창선양들겠다. 가래라다 공리시와 처럼 되는다. 갈로다 신도 남아도 교민도 되세요. 니매버치 수속이 동바디 망보지네. 아니 숨자 숨마터 버리면 신도 받을 치 버치냐 그랬으나 아니 되고 켜니게 돼요 말했어요.
And so again, I'm emphasizing here, once you took vows, pledge, it's really important that you observe it, you really keep the commitment. And while you're keeping the commitment, and then engaging in the practice of renunciation, the bodhicitta, and the correct view, and so on, and then you don't have to worry about the result. The result would come. It's the kind of assured that once you're doing the proper thing, you don't have to worry whether you're making progress or not. The result will come. But when you are not able to keep the commitment, once you promised, then it's really caused you a lot of troubles. And for that reason, the emphasis is placed a great deal on the practice of morality.
So now I'm going to stop here. Then Alan is going to sleep. Oh my God! Long. There will be some question answer. Then next week we talking continue is last two perfection, last two perfection, perfection of the meditation, samatha, then perfection of wisdom, 2 line. Then we're going to do little about talk a little tantric, tantric. Then I hopefully is next week will finish is the source of my wood. Is 9, 10, level 12, 3 is verses just talking to little tantric. Then last 2 verses just prayer lama dzongkha. I think important. Then 7, 8, 9. 9 is so important. It's something like concentration, perfection of concentration, then perfection of wisdom. Tibetan called the Shine al Hakton. We're talking to next week is Shine al Hakton.
So 2 more classes?
Yes.
I think 3 it finishes on the 26th. So 3.
3 classes.
Yeah, then I hope is one Tuesday, 2 week we going to little discuss about is a versus mind training. I hope. Kansan di wadila nenga ta ngara nga shingi mesin nenga ta nga yitone izan shira dishe ge khala ngala mesin. Geshe jota da kiwu chungo ting 친구 숨데 다 대인하는 기부 친구들이 개워요단 뒤에는 또 되시게야지 나기 또는다 나라 냠이면 와서 소소를 배워 미션들을 셔서를 하는 말이었습니다.
So most important thing is verse 8 and 9, and then we also would discuss on the concentration and wisdom, the two important perfections. Then regarding
또 개체제다 perfection of concentration, then perfection of wisdom. 이 개체제를 그녀도 성도면은 다 곰라사였습니다.
So when we think about meditation, most important meditation is the training in the concentration and the training in the wisdom. And when you really don't have that training, then it's really difficult to say how effective meditation would be. And so I wanted to spend some time on that. And then after these two perfections, there's a verse on the Tantra, for which I'm not going to talk a great deal, because this is a subject I myself still studying. And also in the London, basically the verse saying once you completed all the basic training, then you should enter in the Tantra practices. This way is end. And so I'll only touch very briefly on that verse.
그래서 항상 공개됐다 샘디 제주도 많은 데는 여러 배 친구들이 시작했어요. 나라라 차셔라는 쇼에 컨디션 공대 얘기하면 샘 가자 캠사를 하면 공부를 하고 그러세요. 되게 캠도였습니다.
And concentration of the single-pointed concentration is really important for our meditation. And for myself, that because I don't have a sharp concentration in the morning when I engage in my daily recitation and meditation, and due to lack of concentration, I start quite well, and then I will get lost. All kind of thought come and it will carry me away. So I see the concentration is very important.
Okay, then we're going to some 1-2 more questions.
Sure.
Well, I don't know if this one might have been answered, but I just had a question: is equanimity a requirement of bodhicitta, or is it a result of bodhicitta?
그다음에 다들 가서 뒤져봐. 참여생이잖아. 이 전주생 마장 공무원 양원들의 전주생이 되버렸어.
전주기 쌤 되고 말. 단다 쌤이 말.
아니 그 전주생이 되버렸고
원래 맞다. 신간나라다 수행됐다벨라 신간 야마지 뭐야다 야마지 짜도도야나 야마지 신간 잡고 수행도와 아 신의 수행다고 수행됐다 맛이 되겠다. 자주기 쌤 깨라다 유 당원도다 당원시라 왔다. 뭐시 뭐가디 맛이니 보수고. 세메 땅염됐다 먼저 수행다. 맛이기 수행다벨라다 다 신간나마도다 이랬습니다. 자주쌤 유게 말했음. 로장야라다 당공 먼저 되셨습니다.
And the immeasurable equanimity, as it now, is the requirement, the prerequisite for bodhicitta training. It's not the result, but you really have to have this equanimity in order to engage in the bodhicitta training. And one example would be when you wanted to cultivate something. First of all, you really have to prepare the field, including getting rid of all the what you call weeds, including digging out all the weeds, really leveling the field and so on. And that's equanimity. And then the actual seed is the compassion. When you plant something, you plant a seed, right? So the compassion is the seed. But it's not the result, it's a must if you wanted to get a proper training in bodhicitta.
Any question? 그러니까 뭐지 저지 땅 거라. 그래서나 저기 다 this last week you told ask one question. That time I gave short answer. Then yesterday I'm little thinking. 그래서나 저기 다 처음에 또 간지에 몇 편바 있나? 아니 나도 10회 거를 저기 간데서 핑계랬는데 저지 땅 왔어요. 다 이게 다 세딜라 땅 치선 참고 거를 내지 개발했어요. 뭐서 가이던 10회 거를 저기 편한데 가르랬으나 뭐서 대회 거를 겨워 두고도 미겨 두고잖아. 미겨 두고도 딱 망쳐서 차지 그랬어요. 다 미교가 두려운데 10에 qabla 미교에 두고도 동안 모두 조사케 묘 말했으니 다 미교에 두고 동안 매바 동안 모두 조사 매바 인자 다디 동안디 매바 수이즈데 다 소속이 대베 qabla 추치비 추체바 이바이나 10에 qabla디 동안디 깨베디 추기 깨베 투바인자 다 추마도 간이 엔디 뱀발라이 투사데 투바레스니
Last week, you raised a question about where Dharma is only beneficiary for the time of death. And so this question I answered saying when we are undergoing death, especially in the very subtle the consciousness, of course, the Dharma helps, because if you think if you place your mind in a kind of a wholesome mind stream, then of course it helps your death as well as your future birth. So that's one answer. Another is why only Dharma helps when the time of death. It's because we have been engaging in both wholesome and unwholesome deeds, and a lot of us engage more toward unwholesome than the wholesome. But once you practice Dharma, the Dharma is really guiding you to engage, forcing you to engage only in wholesome action. And as you engage, constantly stay on the wholesome action, you create merit. So when you die, and these merits will really help you, maybe help you from overcome from the sufferings of the lower realms and so on. And so you're protecting from these potential sufferings because you engage in the Dharma, right? And that's where in the Dharma is the only, if you like, the phenomena that would really help your future life. So that's my answer, and I had to reflect on that a little bit. So I just remember the answer.
계란게 집이 겨울 줍샤기들아 콘도 수지 마셨나 계란게 모두 수지 비슷한 사람 말했으니 계란게 사이 잡사를 했으니 저는 뱅나가 비슷해 샤워는 계란게 사이 잡사나 계란게 사이 마저도 수지 비슷한 주문도 왔으니 어찌 그냥 했으니.
And once you really accumulated merits through engaging in wholesome deeds, and you are the only one who's entitled to enjoy that fruit, the merits. And the only thing that you can destroy that merit is through your anger. Apart from your anger, no one can take away that merit that you generated. It's just like making a deposit in a bank. Once we make a deposit, you have the kind of ultimate authority to withdraw the saving.
I was wondering, when you take
You
vows,
have this question, you're a monk.
when you take vows and you don't understand them when you take them, how do you learn more about the vows? What are resources for you to be able to learn and understand the vows better so you can practice them properly and so you can keep the vow?
그러기 먼저 더블렘의 제일이야. 아니 지금 점지구도 너무 다가서 개인이 이제 10대도 매고 연예주 야고 마신지. 이 인도선 바다 지금 탑식 근데 제는 가서 더블렘에도 신야서 그것도 그러는데 근데 탑식 가려야 되죠. 또 매고 약간 먼저 누에고 얘기는 또 누에고 연락진 진행인데 뭐든 쳐서 사직 봐야 되지 가봐야 소개 이제 좀
그 너도 로지 연락 보세.
If you want to know more about the vow, I'll teach you.
Okay. Thank you.
계란 계주제 계란다 개인이 돈 받아 자기 숨도 돈 받아도 계란 대신 랜딩이에요. 니쏘 니송다스네 다가 되게랬으니. 딱 개인이 돈 받는데 계란 고탄 그랬으니.
So I'm sure you took the moksha, the parim moksha vow and bodhisattva vow. And that's enough for you right now. If you take further, like the vows of the bhikkhu and so on, then you go crazy, like myself.
I took the ordinary vow. Ordinary vow almost is 251 rules.
Oh.
Then if you took that vow, then you're going to crazy.
수다도 장습도 되고 대 신도를 그래서 장
어디도 만나다
너무 싫어.
소다기 동바 뭐 도와 경에 나가면 돼요 말이에요.
그거는
그러고
누가
그래 도왔다고 그랬다.
되는 전주 선배도
다 다가러라 전주 선배 동바지만 저 도와나라 계셔야겠다. 그러니까 진이 동바 숨자 섬라다는데 렌다로 아니 계속이로 섬라다 숨자 렌다.
다들 도와는 것이 다 시계도 아닌 도와 진짜 아닌 수요를 그래서.
다 디저트 장도에 봐야나 다 저단에 카본이 쇼르다 이나다 장도에 있는 거서 아마 제시 겹쳐로 소란기 숨자들이 방자들이 만도 니다 제시 겹쳐로 왔어요.
And the second question is where are the resources that you go for studying about the vow? And Geshe is saying that mostly they are contained in the Vijnana Sutra. It's extensive commentaries and the root texts on the Paramoksha vows and the Bodhisattva vows. So basically you have to spend a significant amount of time studying. And these texts you will know in the Vijnana, one of the three basket sutras. But if you need kind of a simple kind of general question answer, I'm happy to help you sometimes. If you have a question, come to me and I can explain you. Thank you. Michael.
Just a point on this. I think probably in Lamrim Chenmo and Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, if I'm not wrong, they have about basic vows. And ACI course, Geshe Michael translated like course 7, is it? Bodhisattva vows, which Hector is teaching.
So that's something that rules. ACI
뒤에 보이는 그 핵적인 남윤이 ACI 취득에도 디카블라지 dorje 체토가 있는 약속이
It's a good idea.
Michael told ACI is
7 is 8 is Bodhisattva vows.
They're saying that Hector is teaching the ACI course, and maybe would be interesting if people are interested. Hector can discuss, dedicate some time to discuss about the vows in one of your lessons.
I have another idea. If Geshe is interested, maybe he can give a refuge ceremony and the basic 5 vows. If he's interested to do that, that might be nice.
If you like it to do you, do you need another Galofna, you go so that on
소다기 동바요. 소다기 동바는 나가면 뭐라?
Let's
가다가 기념 데려와.
기념도
기념이 되고.
인지 더베고야 갈로나 이거 gambl도 없어.
되게 됐어요. 되게 지금
Sure. We look into it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Then I took 5 minutes. Yeah, time. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Thank you.
Tashi Bhukhi Geshe Yatokcha Riya Vingshi Ninde Embadi Sangye Shindu Mite Viradi Drohu Nanda Shinna Jibasho Hidam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamninyatayami Gadi Gokun Sunam Yeshe Tsoksok Shin Sunam Yeshe Legend Hui Damba Kuni Dopar Show. Thank you for teaching.
Thank you guys.
미끄럼서 소소소 가고 메디 캐신 거래서는 아리 용발로는 미사만 태워서 너는 캐런 동안에 니만이나 레바지나 데레마도 추기로는 체데 소소 있다 내가 별로 이제 박제 좀 해봐야 되는데 좀통 많이 했더니 어떻게 가고 많이 되면 뭐냐 안 되더니 지금 양양상도 담아서 표현적으로 얘기했습니다.
It's really important and useful and powerful to create the rejoice and also the joyful feeling that in America, when everyone else is so preoccupied with the mundane, work, and then we have this wonderful opportunity and conditions to really discuss about Dharma. And it's such a rare, really event and occasion. And this has come through our many years of good deed and prayers and karma. So when you go to sleep, you should have this incredible feeling that we are so fortunate to sit down and spend hours in discussing about this wonderful subject. And it's a kind of a joy that you should always maintain in your mind stream.
Okay, thank you. See you next year. If I don't go Cloda, Mama Shinalana.
As long as I'm here, see you next time.